Well, hello, everybody. I know I've had people before say if I'm going to do a live, I ought to announce it. But see if anybody joins me in here. It's just me, myself, and I at this point. All three of us are here, and I see there's nobody else up there. But that's cool. I'm just working on a couple belts in here, and I had a few people ask me to do lives this summer, and I haven't done any. And part of it's because I'm really concerned of whether I have good enough internet to do a live. So I'm just going to go along here a little bit here. I'll look up here and we get some people in here. Maybe we can get some conversation going. But I'm laying out a pattern here, and I had a name for this belt, but I've had somebody else tell me it doesn't really fit in my names of belts. Most of my belt names are uh, related to like Western or Western life. And, like Oregon Trail and Calistoga, things such as that. So I've been calling this belt the Madison. I've got to grab, where did my square go? I will use this one. But anyway, I called it the Madison, and I had some people tell me I need to maybe name it something else. So maybe somebody here today will have an opportunity to name this for me. That would be cool. I need to concentrate here. I'm laying out this pattern, and this is one of the belts that I've done in the past. Let me show you an example of it. You probably have been along and seen it. Do I have an actual belt of it here or just my test? I guess maybe just the test, but it's this pattern from here to there along this edge, not that edge, this edge here. And I didn't have a name for it, and I called it the Madison. And like I said, there's some that have said they don't like that. So I just thought maybe more than anything, this is kind of a test to see, is a live stream going to work with our low quality internet that we have up here. We keep getting told that we're going to have better internet, and we had signed up last year for internet this summer. Supposedly they were going to bring fiber up here, which would be awesome. Not sure that it's real feasible, but I do have a couple people here. I appreciate it. Hey Todd, I see Todd's on there, and Mark Gamer is on there, and yeah. So anyway, we're just working on a belt here, and as I said, mainly a test to see how these things work. I've had a few people ask me, and I have missed having a live. When I was doing some lives earlier this year, I was doing like one per month, and was trying to work into a rhythm of that. But up here in Colorado, I guess my time in the shop changes from what I'm used to doing in Arizona. And that's because there's just so much more stuff going on outside. Sounds like we have a storm rolling in. That'd be kind of cool to have some background thunder here. I guess, let me know, is sound okay? Oh, I see Todd says a little fuzzy, but audio is good. Yeah, I'm concerned about that. I've got connection on there. Hey Todd, I'm glad the belt is working as designed, holding your pants up there. So I'll let this go along here for a little bit. What I could do, last time I did it, it caused me problems. I could take it off of our Wi-Fi, and Mark, is our picture any better? Todd said it was fuzzy. I could take it off of Wi-Fi and see if cellular works. Believe it or not, our Wi-Fi is so low quality up here that I can't upload a 5-minute video on it. I have to take it off of Wi-Fi and go with cellular. I see a couple of audio and sound is good. How about picture? Go ahead, tell me if picture is not good. If it's not, I'll real quick see if I can switch it to cellular without dropping you, and then we can try that. It's really a test to see if I can do live streams up here. Not good. All right. Well, I think you're caught up. Very good. I'll give it a couple more minutes here. And then someone says fuzzy. Well, heck, which one is it? Maybe somebody's been drinking and seeing fuzzy. I'm going to see if I lose you. If I lose you, I'll probably jump in here again. And I went from 27 people to 11, so maybe it's fuzzy. Am I still there? I guess we'll see if I'm still there. So, and I'll give it a moment to settle. I took it off of Wi-Fi to cellular. See if that helps at all. I'm going to think that the reason why I went from almost 30 to barely more than 10 is probably because the picture quality wasn't there, which is part of what the test is for. Let me mark down here to the end this pattern. I've always just kind of winged it on this pattern, just visually space the tooling. They're about a 1/4 inch space between them, but I thought I would see how it worked out if I lay it out here with my wing divider. Just about down here, and I can look at it again and see. That much better? Okay, yeah, I'll show those patterns again. So these, the patterns, I finally put them all together here on a string, and I took them with me to the last artisan show, which was, it's fun to have something different to talk about. But this is the pattern. I don't know if you can see it, see if it focuses there. The one here along the bottom. It really creates an interesting pattern, especially the first belt I made, I put it on an 1.25 inch belt, and what ended up happening is the pattern ran into itself, if that makes sense, from the other side. Let me tool a couple here and I'll show you. And I almost threw it away. I know. But if you don't have quality standards for yourself, then no one else is going to go along with your qualities. Let me show you here, just about there. And so I almost threw it away, but it sold on like the very first show that I had it on display. And I took orders for the exact same pattern. That's where this one came from. And it was good that I had my samples because I had sold the belt, and I typically use my belts, I guess, as a display. And my oldest son recommended that I make, some samples of them so that whenever I sell a belt, that I can still sell from something. And let's look at this here. I tried borrowing a little space from the stitch line on this pattern, or stealing some. So here it is. I don't know if you can see it. On the first one I did, and you probably can't really tell very well, but I don't know what to call this. It's like grass. Someone said it looked like a yucca plant, and then someone else said it looked like an ocotillo. And I don't know if you know what an ocotillo is, but you can Google that and see. But the first one, they ran into each other a little bit more than this one does. But anyway, that's the pattern. And the only ones I've sold this pattern in, the only color has been in golden brown. So this is going to be the first one I've made in the color dark mahogany. So we'll see how that looks when I get it done. But I hope everybody's been having a good summer. It's been a whirlwind summer for myself and the HR department. We've spent a lot of time on the road. We helped a family member move into their very first house, so that was very exciting, especially driving the U-Haul moving truck. I got to do that, but that's okay. I've spent a lot of time behind the wheel, and I don't mind that. I see a couple of pink hands waving at me there. James, I see. Hi, Robert. And Did you want me to show that to you again, or was that an old message anyway? Here's where it's at. So the way I developed this pattern, okay, so I know there's I'll say conventional. I don't want to say wrong or right, but there's conventional ways for people to do tooling. And I know that a lot of people will take the top layer of the leather and then they'll tape the back of it or whatever, and then they will do the tooling and then they laminate it to the liner. And I don't like trying to remove the tape from the back of it. And I see a lot of people say they just go ahead and laminate them together, sew them together. It's not a problem. I just don't really like doing it that way, and it's an extra step for me to have to do that part of it. So what I've done is I've laminated the two layers together, and then I case it and do the tooling, and for me it eliminates the need for taping the back and then working that out. You do get a little bit of stretch on the width of the belt when you do that, and so I wouldn't do that if it was, I'm probably yelling at you. I wouldn't do that if it was what I don't call an even pattern. In other words, a pattern that is continuous from one end to the other. If I did like a floral and had a bunch of different things going on in spaces without tooling, then you would end up maybe with some variations in width, and the belt might get a little funky running down the sides. That's my feeling on it. So I've done this when I've ran the Diamondback. Well, really, all of the patterns that I do that I have samples up here, I typically do not tool the front and then laminate the two layers together. I just go ahead and I laminate it, build it all together, and then I do the tooling. I got some criticism or questions of why I did it a particular way. I have dyed it before and then done the tooling, and there was a specific reason why I did it that way. But typically what I do is I'll do the tooling. This is going to be dark mahogany. I already said that. And then I will go ahead and dip dye it after that. And the one reason why I'm doing it that way on this one here, tooling it and getting it done before, you can even see I put my stitching holes in. That's what I'm working off of for the edge, is going to be my stitch line. But part of the reason why I did that is the gentleman liked what I call the faded color. In other words, it's not a consistent color from edge to edge. It is actually, I don't know if I got an example up here to show you. Well, those are still drying, so it doesn't really show. But what ends up happening is these areas where I've tooled it and where I've created the stitching holes, those areas absorb more dye than the area in the center where there's not been anything done to it. And the result is you end up with shading. It's dark here, lighter in the middle, and then dark on this edge over here. And I think I've shared before, when that first happened, I walked it in to the HR manager and said, I guess I'm throwing this belt away because it didn't come out even from side to side. And I was quickly told, no, that kind of looks cool. And I've had a lot of requests for belts that have that faded look. I guess faded, that's the best way for me to describe it, because to me it kind of looks like it's aged and old. And so I'll write on here faded dark mahogany. And I had someone the other day asking me, and I thought I'd share it again. I've showed it a few times here, but I had somebody ask me how I take orders in the booth, and so I'll show it once again. Since I've got this on selfie mode turned around, I wonder if you're able to see, or if it's backwards. But either way, you get the idea of how to design your tag. A grass stamp, yeah, I like it. The first one I bought, the texture went imperfectly straight. This one here that I bought afterwards, it's wavy, and I like the wavy, I think, more than the other one. I have a pattern where I use the straight one as well. I see I have my friend from Spain in there. How do you seal the back after dip dyeing to prevent rub off? So if you're talking about the one like this, I've got it layered up, so it's actually a finish on both sides. It's not a rough out. You can actually see the result of the tooling. See, you got the tooling here. You can see the result of the tooling on the back. That's the only thing that I really don't care for. It's not that big a deal for me. I think it looks cleaner not to have that in there, but you get a little burnish from doing that. And so I dip dye all of my belts. I shouldn't say that. All but 2% of my belts. I have various reasons why I don't. Sometimes somebody wants a different color on the front than the back, and there's some of those types of things. But I dip dye all of my belts. But I have a finish here, and the Resolene, when I first started, I was using Tan Coat, and I had questions about when does the color stop rubbing off. On the Resolene, I don't have that issue. I'll put 2 coats on all of it. I take my time to really get this edge. When I'm working on the one side of it, I'm getting it on the edge. When I'm working on the other side of it, I'm getting it on the edge. The edge really readily absorbs the Resolene. I let that dry for 24 hours, and then I come back and I do that process again. It really seemed like it took care of rub off the Resolene. And I do know that there are people that say they don't like the sheen of it. And I guess there's trade-offs to everything that you do. Having some sheen is part of the trade-off to using Resolene as opposed to Tan Coat. But I was really concerned about rub-off, especially if someone's wearing it for a dress belt or, you know, with a white shirt or something like that. I, you know, cringed at the idea of someone, you know, ruining a shirt with it on there. And I do know that with the Tan Coat, I got quite a few comments where there's rub off on the jeans, and I agree. You know, typically the majority of that rub off, you know, washes out over time. But I'd rather, you know, have the person feel comfortable about it, you know, as it is, and so that's what I do. Yeah, James, I like that. No wrong or right way, and I feel like I get better support and feedback that way on YouTube. I've said it before. Facebook, there can be some somewhat unfriendly approaches to telling you what they think it should be. That's probably the best way to put it there on Facebook. I try to stay in that calm. Mom says if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And I know a lot of people that should remain silent. Hopefully I didn't lose anybody there. Oh, let me show you something here. I've got a video coming out on Saturday, and I think this is going to be my video for Saturday. Yeah, I don't have it finished yet. I should be probably working on that instead of this belt. But some wallets that I finished up. And I created 8 wallets because someone asked for a wallet here. And I got a little carried away probably with blue ones, as you can see. I think they're really pretty. I like the tooling. I don't know if you can see the tooling very well. This was my video from Wednesday. Then I've got some that are just kind of more plain here as well. And here. So they're wallets, but they're a checkbook wallet. In other words, they have a spot here to tuck your checkbook in. You can put the register here and a place for some cards. You could use it as just a regular wallet. It doesn't have to be with a checkbook. And I made the comment, you know, some people are like, checkbook, what's that again? You know, because I think there's a lot of people that have moved on from checks. My accounts payable department, which is the same as the HR department, still writes checks for different things. We do some banking online, but there are some it's easier just to write a check for. You know, obviously I don't think we write checks to the tune that we used to. When you think back to, you know, the 70s and 80s, you know, writing a check for groceries at the grocery store. Huh, look at that. There's somebody in there. Could you show the pattern for your video the other day? Are you talking about the checkbook cover, the one from Wednesday? So I probably kind of flashed it quick and moved on. There's some things about it I don't like, which is not unusual for the first time I run a tool. It did, I think, come out really pretty nice. I tried to get centered top to bottom. I think I did pretty good. I think probably the next time what I would do is, if you've ever laid tile on a floor, you don't really ever start with a complete tile against one wall and then work your way across, because then you end up with a partial tile on the other side. It's better to start in the middle and work your way out. And I did kind of start on one end and work my way up. So I probably should have started off of the center line and then, you know, shoot for one around the same on the outside. And then what I probably should have done was used a scallop edge, something like this, along the edge here, which helps mask that. So would have made a better looking one, but I guess that's what happens when you end up prototypes. Like I said, I had one person ask for one, order one from me at the artisan show I did over the 4th of July. So I ended up, you know, creating 8. So I'll have some. I'm actually meeting with her a little bit later today, and she's going to pick which one she wants, and then the rest will be in my my booth. And the video, I think it's got a lot of merit because, yeah, I mean, you don't have to have a checkbook cover out of it. The design works great for, it's easy to modify it, I'll say, to make a smaller or even a bigger wallet if you wanted. So James, you have 3 checkbooks. There you go. Yeah, I bet we don't write nearly as many. I mean, I can remember Mom and Dad on the farm, the checkbook there, and we were in a store, and Mom was, I don't know what she's buying, groceries or something at a hardware store, and she started to dig out the ID, and he said, "Is this check number real?" And she said, "Yeah." He goes, "I don't need your ID. If you can have 16,000 checks written and not have a closed account, then I trust your check." I wonder how many checks she ended up with. Seemed like we were on the farm forever, but Mom and Dad purchased the farm in, I think, 61. Worked on building the house in 62 and moved in oh no, I meant, no, 62. We moved in when I was like 9 months old. I was born in 1962. So we moved in 63 after the house was built, and they left the farm in the 90s. So was that the Gamer? Is that the one you wanted to see? Hopefully you liked that there. Oh yeah, we got a little rain moving in here. I like hearing the thunder here in the Rocky Mountains. Is there anybody else working in their leather shop today? I've been in here since 8 o'clock this morning. I did lose some time with other things, and I got pretty backed up on orders after the 4th of July show. I had just in belts. I had some that I took orders on right before the show, and then during the show, and then a couple after the show. But like 2 or 3 days after the show, I went through and counted how many belt-related projects I had. I had 24 of them to get done. 107. Are you in Texas, James? I can't remember where James is at. Yeah, that's not too nice. It's, well, you can see, someone said my favorite color is plaid. You can see that it's not 107 here. It's the storm coming in. We just had a front come through. It's probably 75 degrees here. Indiana. Yeah, I was in Indiana for a family reunion, and I tell you what, it was both hot and humid. When first got married, we were living in not Indiana, but we moved there shortly after getting married, and we lived in Indiana for 10 years there where I grew up. We were just back there for a family reunion, and just thinking about going outside, you were sweaty. FF Activities, I'm in Texas. Cool. You know, Texas is kind of our, we'd probably call it our second home. We'd probably call it our second home. We've been married in November for 40 years, and we've spent like 15 years of those years between two different stops in Texas. I better concentrate a little bit here. But we really like Texas. We were in North Texas in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and it's really nice there. And we got to travel around the state. We moved quite a bit. Whenever we were in different places, we always tried to see what the sites were there, not knowing how long we'd be in that area. 110 degrees. Todd, you must be are you in the big city in St. Louis today? I haven't got that video out yet, Todd. I've got to try to figure out the right intro for it. The HR department wants to make sure that everybody knows that she wasn't in the truck with me when I was filming that. And I'll get it put out here in the next week or so. It was my little spoof video when I was in Indiana. We stopped by Todd's place. But yeah. So yeah, I've been working in the shop. This belt, I don't know if you can see over here, I've got, there's two other belts here. These are liners and the face pieces on both of them. Those are gunslingers. And I don't know if anybody else does it this way, but I don't like all that stitching showing on the back of my belt. So on the belts that have stitching on the backs of them, I typically create all the stitching in the front piece, and then I laminate them together and finish the edge and sew the edge together. And I think it looks better that way. Looking here, shifted a little bit more than I was hoping. I've had kind of a run of that. I've got two belts on the bench over there that I get juggling too many belts at one time, and then I make errors. I had one that I laminated 2 layers together and it was going to be just an oil finish. And I started doing the tooling, then I realized that I had done the wrong tooling, so that one's that way. And then I had another one that was going to be a light color, and I need to run and get me some more denatured alcohol that I use to clean the worktop over there where I do my staining and dyeing. But I guess I got some splatters on there, and it was blue dye. And when I moved the leather around and I went and picked it up, I realized that I had some spots and smears of blue dye on the face of it, so there was no way I was going to be able to make that a light color. So I ended up dip dyeing it black. So I have a black belt now for my artisan show. And then yeah, let me turn the camera around here, I'll let you see here. But I have a black belt that I'll be able to use there. A little weather coming in here. It's hail, but it's not hail like you get there in the Midwest. It's all small, like pea size. Pea size would be big hail here. But yeah, got a little storm in here. I know, who wants to go walk? Well, I don't know how long I'll keep you there. Does anybody have any questions? I see someone asking, what weight maul do I prefer? When I'm doing tooling, that especially if it's repetitive, like floral, I got a tapered 16 ounce And this maul here is what I've used the majority of the time. It's a 24 ounce Barry King, and this one I've had the longest. I use it the most often. I bought a 32, so I had something a little heavier for strap-in cuts and such. And it just, to me, they're interchangeable. The 24 and the 32, there's really no difference to me on those. So I try to keep one on each bench, but in reality, what ends up happening is I pick it up, carry it over there, and next thing you know, all three of them are on the other bench when I'm looking for a tool to use. Hey, Bob. Said hi to everybody there. Love your videos, all of them. You know what? I'm humbled when I see people say that my videos help them. I really do feel like I'm just kind of the average guy working on it, and that's not me trying to be humble or anything. I mean, really, there are some people out there that make that their leather work is just phenomenal, and they would probably throw away stuff that if they made what I do, they'd probably throw it away. But they get better. I do think my belts are my best work. My totes, I made quite a few of the totes, and I've had pretty good luck selling the totes this year. So those have been good for me as well. And the last show I had, you look like you're tipped down there, hang on. The last show I had over the 4th of July was really a good show for me. And I sold more stuff out of my inventory than I typically do. And I feel like it builds momentum. And I've had some conversation through the comment section with a few people saying that, you know, they can't sell belts for that price and those types of things. But I think part of it is having confidence in what you've got. And I tell every person, and I hope that they take it to heart, but if there's something they don't like about it, if they'd let me know, I'd just soon fix it so that, you know, I want everybody to be happy, and that's, you know, sometimes hard to do. James uses a 14 taper for Western belts, a 32 basket weave. Yeah, so I guess not you say that. I mean, when I'm setting some of my bigger stamps here, especially like the double axe head here, I case the leather, but I don't case it heavily with that. Part of the reason why is I feel like if I get a little bit of a bounce on it, it doesn't imprint the leather as easily. But I give it a pretty good wallop with this. And if you look, that's a 1/2 inch round stock on the back side of that. So if I ever bent that, I probably need to change professions or something there. But I wallop it pretty good. And I use my heavier maul for those. So, but like these lighter ones here, you know, this grass stamp on this belt here, I typically I use the 12 ounce on that. What leather making a belt? I've been having bad wrinkles when I bend them after gluing the sides together. Yeah, so when I glue them up, this one's kind of an oddball. No sense getting in the reason why that's an oddball. Let me grab this other belt over here. This is my Appalachian Trail belt. A little plug for Tom. Tom's still hiking the Appalachian Trail northbound. He's in Pennsylvania now. His videos lag about 2 weeks, and he came off the trail for about a month due to a family emergency. But he's back on the trail now. But this Appalachian Trail belt, I've got, since it's natural, this is Herman Oak on the top, and this is MTL on the back. You can see the difference in color, right, between the two of them. There's definitely no doubt that the Herman Oak Natural has got really a beautiful color. You know, in comparison to this, I think most people think that that's nice. It's not saying that that's a bad color, but a lot of my belts I dye, so having to dye the MTL leather is not a problem for me. So that a little bit of a ramp up to the story here, but when I create this 2-layer belt, typically I use my splitter, and what I want out of those 2 layers is about between 7 and 8.5 ounces of leather. on this part of it here. And I see a lot of people in their videos that they split from back here, and it's split all the way around, so it's not as thick there, and that's fine. I think that might be a good look. I like a little more leather here, so my split is stepped. Here it's on this one it's 7. Here in this bend it's about 8 1/4, and then we're up to, and my goal is to be between a 10 and a 12 ounce on there. Let me grab my gauge here. And on this one here, I'm 11 1/2 ounces. So here's 11 1/2 ounces with 7. So, you know, there is quite a bit of leather there. I don't think that, I've not had anybody complain about that or make comment about that. So the other thing though, when I put these 2 layers together, when I laminate one to the other, I'll laminate like the first 4 inches, and then I pre-bend where that's going to be, where the buckle's at, and then I do the rest. That takes some of that wrinkle out of there, and then any wrinkle we've got is going to be in here on the back side where the buckle's at. And I could take it apart and show you, but there is some wrinkle in there, but it's not as much on there. It's going to be more that way the thicker your liner is. It's going to be more evident that way. But once again, it's in there where no one's going to see it, and I know you know it's there, and I know it's there, but I don't see that as a problem. I'd rather do that and have a more substantial amount of leather here where this is, because I think on this whole belt, that's the weakest point, is right there. You've split it here for the tongue of the buckle, and then you've probably thinned it down. My first couple belts, I didn't, and it's like, that's pretty chunky. You know, if you're at 12, now you're 24 ounces between the two, you know, where it's folded over there. But I think that's a nice looking belt. This is, I'm almost done on making those belts. Matter of fact, depending on how things go on a conversation with a gentleman that I'm having right now, I may be done, may have all 20 of them made. So the wrinkle along the waistline, did you cut that strap yourself, or did you get that strap from somebody? That's what I'd like to know. Hey, Rick, you're never late to the party. You're just on time. We were waiting for you. The reason why I ask that is, you know, when you get down near the belly, you know that leather is not as dense, and you get more wrinkle as a result of that. So, you know, there's been a time or two where when I'm cutting strips, I cut some for liner, and maybe I go a little further down, and then when I go to laminate them together, I can see it's not going to work, and I get rid of that strip there. But I have a lot of people, they'll see me do this, because I work my belts like this before I ship those belts to anybody. And when I ship them, they go in a little cloth bag, and they've been rolled up, you know, for the whole trip. I roll them up just like this. This is how, if you order a belt from me, that's how you're going to get the belt. It's going to come to you like that. So, you know, if we look on the inside here, you know, there's probably some wrinkles there, but that, to me, that's not a problem. I don't know if you can see. There might be a little bit of wrinkling there, but it's not bunched. I can show you. I've got a belt over here I got to figure out what to do with. Probably cut it in half, throw it away. Let me grab it real quick, and I'll show you. I made a mistake on this belt. This belt here, one of my Western belts, I made, so the top and the bottom are both the same thickness. And then I confused. I had one that I thought was a better looking piece of leather than the other, and I was going to use the one I didn't like as much for the liner, and then I ended up building the belt the wrong way. Do you see that wrinkle there? Yeah, that piece of leather, you can kind of like get your finger and separate that. That is too close. That's too close to the belly or the leg pits. I guess they're not armpits on a cow, the leg pits. And so that leather's not dense enough. And if I sew that, it's going to probably pucker up even more there. This isn't for TV, but I've been fretting over this belt for a week. But I ended up remaking that belt, and it's over here. I got to deliver it a little bit later on today. But someone said something about selling seconds or something like that, and it's a hobby business for me, and I want what I produce to be good. I want someone to be proud that they bought that from me, and I want someone to enjoy wearing it. And there's several people in here. I know Rick. Um, what made you decide to put the belts in your personalized bag? I'll get to that in a second. But if the belt's not if I'm not proud enough to give that to, say, mom, I always say, if uh, business ethics, if what you did today was published on the front page of the newspaper tomorrow, if you're proud about it, then that's good ethics. If you're embarrassed by it, that's bad ethics. And that belt that I just cut in half, I would be embarrassed if someone was bragging on that belt with somebody. So, Rick, the reason why I did that is, so Mark, you say that's what you're seeing. I think that you're getting your straps cut too close to the belly and it's not dense enough there. You need to be further up the back and away from the shoulders. You can run into some of that same problem in the shoulders, except for on the shoulders. A lot of times you get I don't know if you can see the pattern in there, but you get these wrinkles in there. You can see them. This is a piece of Herman oak. You can see lines here, wrinkles, just like I'll probably eventually get some wrinkles as well as I get older. But you get wrinkles there that can cause some of that. But I think that most of that's from being too far down in the belly. And not every hide that comes off the animal is the same thickness. And they'll split those down. And the higher quality leather is used in the thicker leather. And then those are obviously sorted, and depending on where you're buying the leather, not all leather's created equal. But where I'm going with that is you'll see sometimes where you can see that this is nice and tight, this pattern on the back. This is a piece of Herman oak. This is, it was an 8 to 9. This measures at 8. And you can see where it's all been cleanly cut off. There's other times where it's a little fuzzy. That's because that hide wasn't really thick enough for that split when they split that down. I shouldn't say almost every piece of leather that any of us deal with has been split. They run it through a splitter and they cut it to where it's 8 ounces or 6 ounces or 5 ounces. And if it's got a lot of fuzz on the back, in my opinion, it should have been cut to something thinner and got rid of that. That can be another area where that separation comes from. I can remember early on I had some, I think it was 12 or 14 ounce leather, but it had a lot of fuzzy on the back, and I would then try to find a liner to go with it to use. What ended up happening is you would laminate together, but it was like laminating it to a sponge. You just had too much give in there, and that would cause those wrinkles. But I mean, I can bend it like that on this, and I don't think those are any wrinkles you're talking about there. It was more like that belt I finally cut in half there and got rid of. I mean, that's my opinion on it. It's that way. And early on, I purchased some pre-cut leather straps from a major supplier, and I had some that were great quality, and I had some that were not great quality. So that's probably the better way to put it. But so Rick, you asked me about the bag and why I do that. And I try to pay attention to what I see around me, and I listen to advice. If it makes sense, then I go with that. But Andy, that sponsors or has the area where we set up our show each holiday here up in Colorado, she does pottery, and her pottery is just beautiful. And after the first sale I had where I was set up at her house, she was talking about some things that she does differently, and I noticed that she had like a little paper bag. We've seen them, right? A paper bag with like a little fake rope handle on them, and it had she had put her stuff into that. And I'm like, that's so much better than reusing the bag from the grocery store to put the item in. It's probably better not to give them anything to carry it in if you're going to use, the bag from Kroger or Albertsons or whoever it is. So when I got home, I ordered some of those cloth bags, and my wife is extremely creative. She helps me at times with this. If she got involved with the leather work, I'd probably have to stop because her work is just amazing and very creative. And so she saw that, and she got the logo from my business card and sent it to, cover up that phone number there. She sent that off and had a rubber stamp made. She had one that was made that's, I'm guessing that's probably a 4-inch one, and then she had one made that was like the same size as the business card. So then I started stamping those bags, and then this year when I started to get a little bit low on the big bags, I ordered some smaller ones for smaller items as well. And I think it's really a nice touch. They're not free, but I think those cloth bags are, I don't know, 45 cents a piece or something like that. So I just think it's a nice touch to put it in there. Even when I'm at the show, I'm like, hang on a second, let me put that in a bag. And I think people really like the bag. I know Rick's made a comment a couple times about that. I got my Ron's tool this week, worth the money. You'd have to ask my wife about that. My first ones I had were a set from Tandy, and I thought I knew how to sharpen them. And, I wasn't that great at sharpening those. Part of it is having jigs or tools to help you sharpen things can make a big difference as well. And I bought that, the board has got pieces of leather on the set on edge on it from Weaver. And I've barely used that. It just takes up space. I think this time I end up leaving it in the other shop. I didn't even bring it with me because I never use it. It just takes up space. But when I went to the very first show in Prescott, and I had a list of tools that I wanted to buy, and on it was edge tools. And I've told this story before, but I walked over to Barry King's booth, and he had a bunch of edgers there. That guy, he prints money at those shows. There had to have been, he had probably 35 feet of frontage on his booth, and there had to be 50 people at that 35 feet, too deep, looking at stuff. And on the way over to Barry King's booth, based off of name, and sometimes we do buy names. I've got a bunch of Barry King tools, so I like Barry. He's a nice guy. But on the way over there, I went by Ron's Tools, and the owner of that company is Toby. And I saw him talking to some people, and he just has a really quiet, nice, polite demeanor. So I walked back over, and I had cut a bunch of squares of some pretty tough veg tan leather, and I had them shoved in my back pocket that I wanted to test edgers on. And when I walked up, I said, I asked him about them, and he talked about the process of making them. And then he goes, give them a try. And he gave me a piece of leather, and I've been to enough carny shows, carnivals and such, and seen how everything's all stacked up to where it works perfect. And I'm like, I got my own leather. So I pulled that out, and I cut across that thing. And my wife said she could see a smile on my face, and the tension went out of my body, because just the difference of cutting with a absolutely, beautifully made design and sharp tool, the experience was so much greater than, I'll ask you, Rick, if you're still on there, what was it like the first time you shoved the levers forward on that Wolf Ridge compared to however you'd split wood before? Or Todd, if you're still there, you were using the big box store splitter, and now you've got some, amazing pieces of equipment there. The right tool makes all the difference in the world, and I just love how they work. The tips of the number 3 I've sharpened so much that it's starting to get a little bit. It's probably not a big deal, but you can see, I don't know if you can see on here or not, probably too small a detail, but the tip here is well defined, and on the 3 from sharpening that, it's starting to get a little bit fat into these here. And I was asking, part of that's because when you use this tool and a piece of sandpaper bent over it, it is, it flares out on the workbench, right? You can see it flares out on both sides. Well, that starts to wear away on the tip here on the sides. It probably doesn't change anything, but I was telling Toby about that in Prescott, and he's like, send me the tool. He goes, I'll redo the tip on it and sharpen it for you and send it back to you, no charge. And that's not just something he does for me because I have a YouTube channel. That was one of the things that he told me when I was buying the tools that first time, because I'm like, well, if I can only keep it sharp like that. And he's like, it's easy, I'll show you. So he showed me how to do it. And he goes, if you ever get to where it's not sharp the way you think it should be, just send it to me and I'll sharpen them and send them back to you. I don't charge you for that. And so that's the kind of customer service that goes along with, I think, great companies. And I think he's a great company that way. And I'm not having any problem with a Barry King tool to know if he would stand behind it the same way. I'm thinking he probably would. I know I've had some people tell me that they've bought some tools that they ended up not really using. And he said, you know, looking at it like it's not really been used. He goes, go get another one that you want. I'll just trade that out. You know, so, and that's the same thing I was talking about with my belts. That's why I cut that belt in half. I know you guys probably can't believe I did that. I've got 3.5 hours out of the 5 hours into making that belt, but it was just, it wasn't right. It wasn't something that I would put out there. And I feel pretty confident in every belt that I ship that they're going to be happy with it and that they're not going to have an issue with it. And I just did that, make sure I didn't try to make it into a dog collar. And, you know, that's the way I want people to be with mine. And I think that's the same way. And I think Todd's gone now. I don't know if Rick's still there. Great tools like Great Splitters makes work easier, not harder. It almost becomes where it's not work. Oh, you said that. It becomes fun, not work. Yeah, it does. I mean, it can still, you know, if you especially, you know, when I walked out here and I had 24 belt projects to do, it's like a little bit. Usually, I try to get every belt done in a week and get them all shipped out, and I'm like, I couldn't do that, and I had some family commitments that kept me out of the shop for part of it there as well. So. Yeah, let me see what else we got here. I'll probably wrap up here in a minute. Hey, Noel, how's your shoulder doing? I too much painting. That's not a good thing. I guess Noel hurt his shoulder spending too much time on the back end of a paintbrush, and that can be work. Mark Reynolds, I had one and then ordered 4 more. The handle did not match, and he told me it's seen odd one back. Send the odd one back, and he'd send me ones that match. No, that's really cool. The tools that I bought from him, that's out of my pocket a little bit. Let me show you what I've purchased from him and what I've purchased from Barry King. So these are both Barry King tools that I purchased from him. I'm not sure what this wood is here that Barry King uses, but this is the wood. I've got one more over there. This is the wood that's on the tools that I got from Toby. And I did ask him, I noticed that the wood changed. And I guess this wood here, somebody probably knows what it is, but I guess it's considered endangered now. So he doesn't get that wood anymore. So they're probably, you know, they're probably going to change in color on those. But anyway, he uses just it's a high quality tool, so much more fun to use. I would get down to the end where I'm doing the edge on a belt with those, and I didn't buy the expensive ones. I bought the inexpensive, you know, Tandy tools. So I got everything I paid for. But it just really, it was frustrating, and I couldn't get it cut the way I wanted. And I bought, let me think about it. I bought 3 of these. I bought the 1, 2, and 3. I bought these and an edge groover, and I don't use the edge groover. I need to talk to him about that. But the 1, 2, and 3 and the edge groover. The next time I went back, I bought the number 4, and then this last time I bought the French skiver, and this is a number 6 French skiver. And anyway, they just, I think I get a lot of people ask about, the Berry King Mall and that type of thing, and they're just so much better than what I was using before. I had the yellow headed wooden handled tool from Tandy, and I know there's people that use them. I probably didn't. It was probably too lightweight. It was a 12 ounce or 16 ounce, and it made more noise than anything smacking it. And just the heft of this, it just makes the job that much easier. I've been rambling on here for almost an hour. I'll see if I have any other questions. If you got a question, throw it in there. And if you give me a thumbs up, I'd appreciate that. There's 27 of you on there. If I could have 27 thumbs up, that'd be awesome. Let's see. Gamer, the right tool makes all the difference. It's sometimes hard pulling the trigger on the price. There's no doubt about that. And Noel says it's going to be a while on the shoulder pain. I had problems with my right shoulder. I injured it from overuse in 2018. And in January, it quit hurting. I hope yours is quicker than that. Yeah. And you're right. At this point, the pain of buying the right tool is not as great to me because I've sold enough stuff, and I've said it before, if I was trying to put food on the table, I'd probably have a different approach to this whole thing. But it's really about running a hobby business, and I like to invest in some nice tools. And so I get excited now about going and spending $100 on a tool that I think is going to work really good, and it has worked really good. And a little plug here for Amy. I'll put a description on there, but this is a tool that Amy sent me. James, was that you? I'm trying to remember who it was that sent me an email and said that someone was going to be getting a hold of me. And Amy, you're going to get another free plug here, but Amy Wilson gave me this tool to use, and it's used on Chicago screws to tighten or to remove Chicago screws. I was just blown away with how well the thing worked. I've got another video coming out on it. It's made in the U.S. This is injection molded, so it's plastic, but it's made in the U.S., and I was really surprised at how well it worked. It was $24.95, and she did include 2 of these soft rubber tips here. That's critical to the thing working. They're 50 cents a piece for those if anybody's buying those, but it was pretty good. But yeah, James, I appreciate that. That was really good. And she sent me an email and said that on Monday she shipped out 10 of them after that. So I like hearing that. What's the one thing that you want to make you haven't made yet? Saddlebags. I've got the leather over here. I've got the pattern. A year ago, I cleaned a set of saddlebags, and I took, there was a bit of a motive there. A good friend of mine, Dale, a wrangler for 40 years, had 42 years. He had some 42-year-old saddlebags, and I cleaned them and oiled them and took measurements off of them, traced them. And I've got the leather sitting over here. It's some Herman Oak 12-ounce leather that I'm gonna make a set of saddlebags. So I'm kind of excited to get make some saddlebags. It's very western up here in Colorado, here in southwest Colorado, and I think it would look pretty good hanging on a display there. Saddle, no, I'm not terribly interested in doing a saddle. They're really cool. You can spend a lot of time on those. And Don Gonzalez the other day, I saw on Facebook, he had one of the saddles listed there for $22,000. That's more than I paid for my first 3 or 4 cars all combined. But it'll probably outlast anybody that buys it. Don's saddle work is totally amazing there. Other things I want to make. I think that's really it. I really want to develop a couple other bags. The travel tote has been really popular. This one's sold. You probably saw it the other day on the video. I've got another project. You're not going to believe it. I keep teasing about it. It's probably going to be a couple weeks. The editing is going to be a challenge, I think, for me to get it edited. But anyway, this travel tote's been really popular. I've sold 8 or 9. I think 9. I had someone the other day, I took them one. I think I've sold 9 this year of the travel totes, and people really seem to like those. But I'd like to make kind of an overnight bag that closes up securely. You could throw it in, in the trunk and not worry about anything coming out of it. So I want to come up with something there, but my goal is to try to keep it uncomplicated enough that that I don't have too much time in it, and I feel like I have to charge a bunch for it. I'll probably make it out of that same SB foot leather. I really like that for bags. And people like to hear, I'm like, do you know Red Wing boots? Yep, this is Red Wing boot leather. And they ask how to take care of it, just like a pair of boots. And the more you use it and get it scuffed up, the better it looks. And yeah, anyway. I think that's about it for today. I appreciate it. I guess put a comment in here. I'm going to let this run for a moment here, but let me know if it's still clear. At the beginning, I was on Wi-Fi, and it was fuzzy. So I'll let it go here for a few minutes and see if we get some more comments in about that. Yeah, I think that's about it. I appreciate everybody taking time. I enjoy doing lives, especially if you guys, give me some questions to answer. And I've been really concerned this year about trying to do it because, like I said, the internet quality up here is so poor. Hopefully they follow through with their promise. Supposedly we're getting fiber. That would be amazing compared to over the phone line that it can't get out of its own way. I appreciate everybody being there, and yeah, like, share, and subscribe. But more importantly, I do hope everybody has a great day. I'll let this run just a little bit here. Let me know. Waiting to see if someone tells me how the quality of the video is here at the end, and I'm going to get back to tooling this. My goal is to get it tooled and dyed yet today. So, unless I look up and see some earth-shattering question, I'm going to plug along here. If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning, I'd hammer in the afternoon, I'd hammer all day long. I think there's a song that used to be that way. It's sprinkling again out here. I just realized I saw up there somebody asked about if I bought any belt blanks from Landwirland Leather. I have not. The only leather that I've purchased from them, I purchased on that last visit video at Landwirland. So if you're still there, sorry it took me a while, and if you're gone, I'm sorry I missed you there. And I've been using some of the hardware and stuff I bought from there, but believe it or not, I haven't even opened that. I opened the end of it to make sure there was leather in there, but I haven't gotten that leather even out of its package yet. Just about done. This belt is different. Most of my designs I don't take from buckle to tip, but this belt does. I've got a couple that I make that way now, and I'll see, I may end up making more of them that way. There you go. I'll let it dry, and then it'll go through the dye. This is going to be in the dark faded mahogany. That's it. Appreciate everybody being there. Hey, Julie. No buffering goats. Douglas, first time. Appreciate it. I appreciate everybody being there. And I know there's still a few people watching. There's some probably, maybe it's just running on their TV and they're in the other room enjoying dinner. But thank you, Julie. I do like this belt. I think it looks pretty good. I'm getting more and more tooled belts, but I'm still stuck in this geometric tooling deal here, and I want to get into more floral, but it seems like it's hard for me to really fit good detail in there. I've got a project that's going to challenge me coming. I had a lady reach out to me, and she had her mom's belt, and her mom's passed away now, and the belt's like over 50 years old, and she asked me if I could either repair it or make it new. She sent it to me. We'll take a look at it when we get there, but it's floral from one end to the other. It's kind of a 70s floral, so I think it'll be probably a little bit easier to for me to feel comfortable about doing. I've taken those classes, and well, there's no problem. I need to do what Don says, right? I mean, Don does the class, and he's taught a lot of people, I'm sure, how to tool over the years. And he's like, it's one thing to take the class, but he goes, starting tomorrow, you have to, you've got to practice this every day. You got to practice the swivel knife. You got to practice your tooling every day. And I just really haven't been disciplined in doing that. I enjoy these other belts that I make, and so I end up gravitating towards those. So Rick asked about, things I haven't made. Probably get into more floral tooling. My wife, our wives usually know us better than we know ourselves, she goes, you really enjoy the other stuff. I don't know why you make that hard on yourself to work on those other items. Stick with what you're enjoying and what's fun. So probably need to listen to her advice, right? Probably good advice. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap up there. I do appreciate it, hanging out here. Julie, you've been cutting pictures out of coloring books. Easy tool. That's a good idea. I know we keep going here. I've got a book over here that Wayne out of Tucson gave me, and it's a tattoo artist coloring book. So, but it's a lot of tattoo patterns. There's really some cool stuff in there. I need to get that out and play with that some. But and I shouldn't, I guess, shy away from it, because usually if I do a video of tooling, especially a short of tooling, I get a bunch of views on it. So people, I think, are really intrigued by that process, more so than obviously, using a strap cutter and cutting belt blanks. It is more interesting. Anyway, I appreciate it. I'm going to go now. You guys all have a great day, and I appreciate you taking time with no notice to be here today. I hope you have a great day.